Hello, guys. Welcome back to the After Dark podcast with Jessica and my lovely co host,
Isa.
All right, you guys. So, firstly, I wanted to say we are very sorry that we skipped the last two episodes. Basically, what happened was we had both of our birthdays back to back. And so we just kind of got busy with that and busy with everyday life. But we're back now, and we are coming to you today with a very, very interesting case. So, this is the story of a 21-year-old Canadian woman who went missing and was mysteriously found dead in the Cecil Hotel's water tank. So, Elisa Lam was born on April 30th, 1991 in Vancouver, Canada. Her parents were immigrants from Hong Kong. Now, I couldn't really find a lot of stuff about her background, her early life, her childhood, stuff like that, which is very unfortunate. She was attending college at the University of British Columbia. She was diagnosed with bipolar disorder and depression. She had been prescribed 4 medications, and according to her family, Elisa had no history of suicidal ideations or attempts, although they did report that she had previously gone missing for a brief period of time. So she started to plan a trip to the United States to visit various cities like Santa Cruz, San Diego, Los Angeles. So her family was really nervous about her traveling by herself because she intended on going on this trip solo. She wanted to go by herself, and of course her parents did not like this. But as a compromise, she promised to check in with her parents every day to let them know that she was safe. So on January 26, 2013, Elisa Lam arrived in LA. She came by the Amtrak train from San Diego and was headed to Santa Cruz as part of like her trip around the West Coast. So the trip was supposed to be like a little vacation from school for her to just relax and enjoy her time. Every day that Elisa was traveling, she kept her promise to keep in contact with her parents. However, Elisa's parents were shocked when they didn't hear from their daughter on January 31st, the day she was scheduled to check out of the hotel she was staying in, named the Cecil Hotel. The Lambs eventually contacted the Los Angeles Police Department, and then this led to the police searching the premises of the Cecil Hotel, but they could not find her. So Elisa Lam was now reported as missing, and everybody was going to the extent to find out what happened to her. So the police started to investigate the hotel and asked if they had any surveillance footage, and so they ended up releasing the surveillance footage taken from the cameras at the Cecil Hotel, and this is where things took a huge turn. The infamous video is all over YouTube if you want to check it out. You can find it with a simple Google search, but basically the hotel video showed Elisa Lam in one of the elevators on the day of her disappearance. She was seen acting really strangely. Lam can be seen stepping into the elevator and pushing all the floor buttons in and out of the elevator, poking her head out sideways towards the hallways.
So it appears like she was doing that elevator game that everybody was talking about, maybe because she was pressing all the buttons and looking outside. So that's supposed to be like you press all the buttons and then something appears. I'm not too familiar with that, but that's what they're saying, that they were trying. She was trying to play the elevator game.
So the last couple minutes of the video shows Elisa Lam standing by the left side of the door, moving her hands in random gestures, despite nobody else being captured on the video. So on February 19, approximately 2 weeks after the video was released by authorities, a maintenance worker by the name of Santiago Lopez found Elisa Lam's dead body floating in one of the hotel's water tanks. Lopez made the discovery shortly after responding to complaints from hotel guests about low water pressure and a weird taste coming from the sink water. According to a statement by the chief of the Los Angeles Fire Department, the tank in which Lam's body was found had been drained completely and then cut open from the side to remove her body. Nobody knows how Elisa Lam's body ended up in the hotel's water tank or who else might have been involved. Hotel staff told authorities that Lam was also seen by herself around the hotel premises. However, there was one person who did see Lam soon before her death. At a nearby shop eerily named The Last Bookstore, the owner, Katie Orphan, was among the last to see Elisa Lam alive. Orphan remembered Lam buying books and music for her family back in Vancouver. So when I read this, I started thinking like, oh, then she obviously had intent to go back home, because in one of the articles I had read that because she had bipolar disorder and depression, maybe this was like a suicide attempt. But obviously if she was buying stuff for her family, she had intent on going back home. So
Right.
so it wasn't like a suicide attempt like people say.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion. The owner of the bookstore said that everything seemed normal. It seemed to her that Lamb had plans to return home and reconnect with her family. However, the autopsy results soon came out and it only ignited more questions. The toxicology report confirmed that Lamb had consumed a number of medical drugs, likely to be medication for her bipolar disorder, however. But there were no indications of alcohol or illegal substances in her body. The autopsy also confirmed that the cause of death was in fact accidental drowning. Which, wouldn't that mean that she was alive when she was in there if she
Yes.
drowned?
That means she went in there alive. And drowned.
Oh
Yes.
my gosh. So soon after the toxicology report came out, many amateur sleuths began poring over any information they could find in the hopes of solving the mystery behind Elisa Lamb's death. For example, a summary of Elisa Lamb's toxicology report was posted online by a Reddit user, and this Reddit user made 3 key observations. The first one was that Elisa took at least one antidepressant that day. The second one was that she had taken her second antidepressant and mood stabilizer recently, but not that day. And the last one was that she had not taken her antipsychotic medication recently. So why is this important? Well, it suggests that Elisa, who had been diagnosed with bipolar disorder and depression, may have not been taking her medications properly, which is important to note because the use of antidepressants to treat bipolar disorder can risk inducing manic side effects if done without caution.
Yes, who know how long she stopped taking her antipsychotic medicine, and that can really make you act all crazy.
Yeah, it can make somebody act not like their normal selves.
Yes.
So many people have latched onto this detail and suggest that this explains Elisa Lamb's strange behavior in the elevator. So here's another important note. So during Elisa's stay at the Cecil Hotel, Amy Price, who was the hotel's manager, said that Elisa was originally placed in a shared room with other people. However, her roommates complained of odd behavior from Elisa Lamb, which forced her to be moved to a private room by herself. But even if Elisa Lamb had been suffering from mental health issues and she was acting strangely, this didn't prove how she ended up dead, and furthermore, how she ended up in the hotel's water tank. So the autopsy didn't show any signs of foul play from evidence that was collected and then processed, but the coroner's office noted that they were unable to do a full examination because the blood from Elisa's body was unexaminable because of the state of decomposition that her body was in.
Imagine people were drinking that water. They were
Bathing
in that
it.
water. Oh my
I know,
God.
washing their hands. That's horrible.
Yes.
That is so horrible.
I'm never drinking hotel
Water
water
ever again. I know. So awful. So Elisa's parents ended up filing a wrongful death suit against the hotel a few months after their daughter's death was discovered. However, the hotel did end up fighting back. So the hotel's lawyer argued that the Cecil Hotel had no reason to believe that someone would be capable of getting into one of their water tanks. With this, Santiago Lopez, who was the first to find Elisa's body, explained in detail how much effort he had to exert just to find her body. Lopez said that he took the elevator onto the 15th floor of the hotel. He then walked up the staircase to the roof. After this, he had to first turn off the rooftop alarm and climb up onto the platform where the hotel's water tanks were located. Finally, he climbed onto another ladder at the top of the main water tank, and this is when he noticed something strange. Lopez stated that, quote, "I noticed the hatch to the main water tank was open and looked inside and saw an Asian woman lying face up in the water approximately 12 inches from the top of the tank," end quote. He also claimed that it would have been very difficult for Elisa Lam to make it up to the top of the water tank by herself, at least not without anyone noticing. With this, the hotel's chief engineer, Pedro Tovar, made it clear that it would be very difficult for anyone to access the rooftop in the first place without triggering the alarms. Only the hotel staff was authorized to deactivate the alarms properly. And if in fact the alarm was triggered, the sound of it would reach the front desk as well as the entire 2 floors of the hotel. So with all of this, Los Angeles Superior Court Judge Howard Holm ruled that the death of Elisa Lam was unforeseeable because it had happened in an area that guests were not allowed to access. So the lawsuit was unfortunately dismissed. So that basically leaves us with no answers as to how Elisa Lam got into the water tank and why. I had read somewhere that she wasn't found with the same clothes that she was wearing in the elevator surveillance.
Who knows? This is just a mystery.
But either way, her clothes that she was wearing that day were in the water tank with her?
Yes, she was found naked.
Oh, wow.
And her clothes were in the water with her.
Oh, wow.
Like, if they seem either she was thrown in naked or she jumped in and took her clothes off, which I don't know how she would do that.
Yeah.
So it's a little suspicious.
It is very suspicious, but the Cecil Hotel is infamous for strange things going on there. I believe I read somewhere that there are at least 16 people that have died there, and it is known for being the location of countless brutal crimes, and other serial killers have stayed there. Like, for example, Richard Ramirez, he stayed there during his 1985 murder spree.
There's this reporter that came from Europe that came to investigate the stories about the Cecil Hotel, and at the time there was murders happening in LA, and so he started going around with the police just to kind of get do research for a book he was writing and stuff, and he actually ended up murdering people. It was like when he was going on the ride-alongs with the police, he was learning basically how to kill, because the way he was murdering women was the same way that the previous serial killer or whatever murder he was investigating was committing his crimes.
Wow. So he ended up becoming a serial killer.
Yes.
But he was first like a reporter reporting on it. Oh my gosh. What a turn of events. That is crazy. So let us know what you guys think about what happened. I want to talk about some weird coincidences with this case, but let us know in the comments below a few theories that you guys think. But I want to talk about a few weird coincidences that have been surrounding the case. So the first one being that in 2005, there was a horror film named Dark Water that was released. And basically the plot of this movie was a mother and daughter moved into a rundown apartment building. Now, a dysfunctional elevator and discolored water gushing from the building's faucets is what led them to the building's rooftop water tank, where they discovered the body of a girl who had been reported missing the year before. That is so freaking crazy.
Wow.
That's a movie that came out like 8 years before the Elisa Lam murder happened. So this was like way before.
So then one of the theories is that maybe the person that killed, if anybody killed Elisa, based or went off that movie. So there's a lot of theories about surrounding this case, but that is one of them.
Yeah, I have heard that theory that maybe the person that was involved with this copied it or got influenced by the plot of this movie. But I just think that is so crazy.
This is a strange case.
Yeah, it is. So here's another strange coincidence. So after Elisa Lam died, a tuberculosis outbreak plagued the streets of Los Angeles, especially among the homeless community in Skid Road, which was nearby the Cecil Hotel. Now here's the weird part. The test for the tuberculosis was literally her name, except backwards. So the test for the tuberculosis was Lam Elisa. So conspiracy theorists immediately discovered that she was a student from the University of British Columbia, like I had mentioned. And the University of British Columbia is known for being a reputable tuberculosis research center. So they think that maybe, and this is just a theory, but they think that maybe she was sent to LA to control the homeless population, and the reason why she was killed was because she knew too much, or she threatened to come out with something she wasn't supposed to, which that one is a little far-fetched. I don't think I believe that one, but I do think it's weird that this whole tuberculosis research center, Elisa, like it's so weird.
I really don't believe in like conspiracy theories and stuff like that, but this case, I don't know, has my head scratching.
Yeah.
There's just something,
I know.
something sketchy, something's not adding up. I don't know, it's making me have second thoughts about this conspiracy theory.
I know. So the last place where anyone saw Elisa Lam was a bookstore in Los Angeles named The Last Bookstore. But this is where it gets weird. So if you look up The Last Bookstore's domain, you'll find a postal code in its registration information. Online sleuths have put this postal code into Google Maps and found the pinpoint at Elisa Lam's burial spot in Forest Lawn Memorial Park in Canada. This is where she's buried. It pinpoint her exact spot.
Wow, that's scary.
That is freaky. When I didn't even know that, because the two previous coincidences that I mentioned I had already known about before I did more research, but this one I did not know, and it freaked me out.
That is pretty freaky.
That is so weird. Like, how the heck does that happen? I don't know how all these weird things happen. This whole case is just surrounded by questions, unanswered questions, and it will remain a mystery. I don't think this is ever going to get solved, because I think there's something sketchy going on that is being covered up. That is just my theory.
Yeah, it is a pretty weird case. It's pretty interesting, and it's kind of upsetting to know that it's never going to be solved.
Mm-hmm.
And especially, I'm not saying it has anything to do with the government, but if it had anything to do with it, obviously nothing's going to come up from it.
No, of course. Yeah, nothing's going to happen if it was involved with that. All right, you guys. So I know this one was a shorter one, but we just wanted to get down to the main points of this case. We recently watched an amazing documentary on this case on Netflix. So if you guys have not seen it, go watch it. It is so awesome. This was basically just kind of like the summary short version. But yeah, thank you so much for joining us today on our third episode here on the After Dark podcast. Be sure to subscribe to our channel, give us a thumbs up, and let us know who you want us to talk about next. Be sure to tune in next week, because it's gonna be a good one.